My fellow Americans, I come before you tonight as a candidate for the vice presidency and as a man whose honesty and integrity has been questioned. Now, the usual political thing to do when charges are made against you is to either ignore them or to deny them without giving details. I believe we've had enough of that in the United States, particularly with the present administration in Washington, D.C.
October 1952, 72 years ago, somebody stopped in town to pay a visit for a presidential bid. That's right, old Tricky Dick was in town. Richard Nixon was in this area of Titusville. Yes! That's right, old Richard Nixon was here with his wife Pat, right over there. And I got the pictures to prove it. Ooh, it's a cool, crisp 31 degrees. It is a heat wave. It's a heat wave today. It's a heat wave today. This is the Daily. Senator Richard Nixon. What? That's right. Richard Nixon was here before he was a presidential candidate and a presidential person. I don't know where I was going with that. But before I start the vlog this week, I want to thank all my channel members and my subscribers for your awesomeness. You don't know how much that means to me. Let's do this vlog. This vlog, however, is a revisit. Because, you know, sometimes I just do stuff that don't make no sense. I accidentally deleted the video off my old channel when I did this story. So I figured, hey, this week, let's revisit Richard Nixon. I had no idea why I just did that. But people need to know Senator Richard Nixon was right here. Yes, sir, October 1952, right here. Richard Nixon and his wife, Pat, we're standing on the train. Check out this pic. Insane. But yes, Senator Richard Nixon was on the train right here. And how beautiful is the internet when you can go online and find crazy pics of Richard Nixon standing in Titusville. And I got a pic from down there where somebody snapped a shot with all the crowd. I gotta show you. Before I get down to the spot, let me tell you, Senator Richard Nixon from California was running with Dwight D. Eisenhower to be the vice president of the United States at the upcoming 1953 election. And they came here for the whistle. Whew, whistle was right, that was cold. The whistle stop campaign for the Dwight D. Eisenhower presidential bid. And Nixon was his running mate. Yeah, I figured it's election year. New president's coming in. Let's do Richard Nixon again because, well, I deleted it, so it just fit. Come on, wind. Work with me here. Check out this pic. You can see the building in the back and the pole and the train. But if you pan up, I'm gonna walk over there and stand right where the photographer stood to take this pic. And do you see the crowd gathered around? Yeah, Richard Nixon was back there. It's insane. But if you walk over, you get across the street here, I'll find exactly where this guy stood. I don't know about you people, but this weather is driving me crazy. I can't take it anymore. I'm just not a winter person anymore. Remember when you were a kid and you're like, let's go out and sled ride? No, not no more. Trust me, kids who watch me, when you get older, you're not gonna wanna do it. But anyway, where's the pole at? The pole, if you line the picture up, see the buildings over there? That right there where my thumb is, that's the building they're looking at. And the post where that old man's standing, You know what? That could be the same post because it's got the same glass insulators on it. It wouldn't shock me. But where the guy is taking his shot would be about right here. And you see the crowd in the back, the people over there, and you pan up. That is that building. Richard Nixon was right down. That's insane if that's the same post from 1952. Holy moly. You know, you got to remember too, back in the day, trains connected all these small towns. So the presidential candidates had this idea of, back in the day, we're going to get on the train and call it the whistle stop. I don't know if that's a Nixon thing or other presidents did it. I'm not Wikipedia people. But Nixon and Eisenhower call it the whistle stop campaign. And they stopped here in Titusville. But before they were here in Titusville, I got a list to tell you. I'm going by memory here, people. But before old Tricky Dick stopped in town here, all the small towns in PA, well, big towns too, he stopped in York, Harrisburg, Reading, Wilkes-Barre, Newcastle. There's more in there. I left my notes in the car, so I'm going by memory. Sharon, Meadville, Erie, then, whew, I remembered them all. That's pretty good. Oh, I'm sharp as a tack. Whew. I'm not even really old. What am I talking about? But anyway, he stopped all in them towns before he got to Titusville for the whistle stop campaign, for the presidential bid to be the vice president with Dwight D. Eisenhower. Think about this stuff. This is crazy when they used to jump on trains and just hit small towns over and over again back in the day. Like I said, I don't know if that was a Nixon thing, so don't quote me on that. But I'm just saying, that's what they called it. Comment downstairs below if you know. I don't know. Do you realize how many stories I've done with celebrities and famous people coming to Titusville? It's insane. Richard Nixon was here. And Richard Nixon was good friends with the great Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley is still alive, people. Look on the internet. He changed his name. His name now is Bob Joyce. If you don't stop and look around, you never know what was in your area. I say that every video, but if you dive into history and you stand, so I don't know, I find this fascination where if I go in a place and somebody was there and I do the vlog, it's always awesome to me because Nixon was here. Many celebrities come in town and I've done videos on them and different things, but I'm just saying, Richard Nixon was right here. Check out this picture of his wife and him on the back of the train. Now, I don't know exactly the spot where the train set and where Nixon and his wife was in the back of the train here, but it was in this area because you got to remember, the New York Central Railroad was right here. So the train was parked along here and the crowd, I don't have a picture of it, but there was a crowd here. And as you've seen, I showed you over there, there was a crowd down that way. If you're not too presidential, let me tell you what happened. Richard Nixon and Eisenhower won the presidency. They were president and vice president from 1953 to 61. Now, Nixon ran again to be president, not vice president. He lost to, well, you know, Mr. Kennedy there. But in 69, he became president of the United States. And then years later, 73, 74, well, you know what happened. Forrest Gump caught them in the Watergate scandal when he was in the hotel.
Yeah, sir, you might want to send a maintenance man over to that office across the way. The lights are off and they must be looking for a fuse box or something because them flashlights, they're keeping me awake.
The more you know. The old Tricky Dick. He's not a crook. I don't know. I ain't judging anybody on that whole Watergate scandal because, you know, politics are kind of crazy. And I don't get into politics on the channel, but I thought it was pretty cool that I documented Richard Nixon was here, right? I have had enough of this weather, I can tell you. It's insane, and it's only January. But go downstairs and check out my merchandise store with all my cool hats, hoodies, and I made a vow to myself to start wearing my merch more. I rarely do I ever wear my merch in my videos. It's insane, but trying to sell a product and you don't wear your own stuff. But I thought, 2025, let's start promoting my merchandise a little more. I don't know. Sometimes I get lost in the moment. That's what I'm saying. Here's a good shot. All you people that watch me from warmer states that don't get snow, enjoy this little shot of this snow. It's insane, but after so long, man, that's some boxes. Remember last week I was talking about electrical boxes with the history on it? That's the one with the hula hoop on it. And yes, I did do the hula hoop story in Titusville. Crazy, right? I didn't know they had aspen trees in Antarctica.
This is an aspen. You can tell that it's an aspen tree because of the way it is.
So those were the days.
Those were the days, my friend.
When Richard Nixon visited Titusville for his presidential bid with Dwight D. Eisenhower. Crazy. But I will see you Monday at 6 o'clock. Unless you're a member of mine, you get to watch me at 8 in the morning. If you want to check my memberships out, see what that's all about, it's downstairs in the link below. So I will see you next Monday. Not from the Walmart. I got a crazy story for you next week. Summer. It couldn't come any sooner.
In 1952, the Republican Party nominates Dwight David Eisenhower for president. The architect of victory in Europe leads his party to victory at the polls. His running mate is Richard Nixon, vice president at the age of 40. On January 20th, 1953, the reins of government change hands with the pomp and ceremony that have become traditional on Inauguration Day. For Dwight Eisenhower, this is the crowning moment in a lifetime of service to his country. For Richard Nixon, this is another milestone in a meteoric career.
This is a daily.